Hey folks, how y'all doing? It's Friday here at Media Blasters, and the weekend is upon us, so pretty happy about that. Been crazy over here, as you know, we keep talking about the move. The move seems to never end. We are pretty much done. We're operational, but we still need to put away stuff, do things. It's a move. So we are now kind of getting more accustomed to everything, moving things around. So hopefully, April is not a convention month, so that's a good thing, and we'll be able to finish it up. The other thing, May will be really busy as we have two bigger conventions coming up with Anime Central in Chicago and Anime North in Toronto. Those are always been great shows and looking forward to them. Now, as far as me setting up, I did mention yesterday I put this mic and this sound setup here, and someone mentioned to get a pop up filter on it, so I was able to do that. Now, I also mentioned that I did have a pretty much we're getting back into some titles that we were not able to work on before the flood. So, with that in mind, we had to kind of like get them back into gear. And one of those titles is Hentai Kamen. Hentai Kamen was, something we were really looking forward to release and still are now. So I'm happy to say, yeah, like I did yesterday, the voiceover is pretty much done on the show. So we're really happy about that. Looking forward to the release of it. And, I think it'll be very good. The thing we need to do right now, though, is the mix. The mix is just about done. I don't think it's going to take much more to do. We have a lot of great talent, in the show. This clip that we put together for you here so you could take a preview of the show is featuring the dominatrix, which is the mom in the show, played by Caitlin Barr. Caitlin Barr is one of our favorites. She's in a lot of our stuff. She was at Anime NJ. This is a big year for her, from what I understand, is that Kaiju number 8. She's featured in it. And I do think she, great talent. And I hope people enjoy her performance. Also, we have Jonah Scott, who plays the lead, Kyosuke. And basically, he is, most people know that name already, but it's One Punch Man, and he did, Demon Slayer. He goes to a lot of shows, just like Caitlin, and, we're hoping to have him involved with Anime NJ pretty much soon, too. So, really looking forward to, working with these folks more. But as far as Hentai Kamen goes, they did, do the voiceovers, and Justin did put a clip together here. So I figured let the clip talk for itself, and you guys can check it out. Here you go.
So, that's the story of how my parents met. 3 years later, I was born. Not long after, Dad was shot by an armed perp, heroically murdered in the line of duty. His body was riddled with bullets, and his last words were, "I kinda like this." As for Mom,
How many times do I have to tell you not to use the egg whites?
she's still a kitten with a whip.
Anyway, Mommy's on the late shift tonight, so you'll have to feed yourself, Brett.
Sure.
Just to give you guys a little background about the show itself is about the dominatrix mom, like I said, played by Caitlin, and this fallen father who is kind of like a police officer. They get together. They have a child, of course, Kiyosuke, and that one, played by Jonah Scott. It winds up that he he has attributes from both parents, so he has a lot of the fighting and the let's just say the emotional of the mom, the dominatrix. Now you combine that with the traits of the dad, who's a police officer, so he has this kind of like, fight for justice type of thing. So he's a bit of a superhero when you combine the dominatrix mom's powers with the justice of the dad. So that's how you get the superhero that is born in the show, which is called Hentai Kamen. Now, how do these powers get activated is interesting in that it seems to be activated by wearing used underwear. And as you can tell, I'll put the temp art up here, and most of you have seen it. Where he puts the used underwear on his head. And that's his costume, part of his costume, I should say, for when he's in superhero mode. You guys got to see the rest. It's real fun. If you like stuff like Machine Girl or, Tokyo Gore Police or Zombie Ass, a lot of our other releases, you're going to love this one. So definitely check it out. There'll be more clips I'll put together for you guys, and we'll make a formal announcement of the show. I think it's going to do really well. We were really looking forward to it, so I'm finally really happy that the show is going to be coming out. So look for it. Now, another thing was yesterday I did mention some about game anime. It is Friday, so let's go a little bit into like the Friday Thoughts thing or Friday history. Back in the day, you guys know I was originally with Software Sculptors, and one of the things I got into anime actually via games. It was at a Star Trek convention, and then what happened was I was there, and there was a guy selling these VHS tapes and doing that kind of thing. And when he did that, I noticed the characters had a very game feel to them. I spoke with him for a while, and then you may know him. His name is Bruno. He had the dark glasses, wore all black jeans, black shirt. But he was at the show, and when I wound up doing my own research, I couldn't believe how many, the gaming part of it. But in any case, that was my story of how I got into the anime world. When I started to work with Software Sculptors and I wanted to make games, actually, and wanted to do things, we kind of, we did our stuff with the screensavers and all that. But one thing that was going on back then, there really, the titles that were being released were more of kind of fan-based titles, I guess you would call them. You had Akira, you had Bubblegum Crisis, you had Project Eiko, you had Tenchi. But the funny thing was that the audience for that were more for the clubs, more the kind of like the gamer, not really the gamer clubs, but the clubs, the anime clubs, I'm sorry. And the anime clubs did like those titles, and they finally were able to get the releases on them. But the funny thing is that there was a lot of this, or at least some titles that were game based. So Viz, actually, one of the first ones I remember was Fatal Fury, and Darkstalkers, but Fatal Fury I remember first. And Viz, the home video was being done by CPM. And when it was done by CPM, I remember when nobody knew what was going to really happen with Fatal Fury, if it was going to do well or not. The animation looked pretty good for its time, had a great cover. Same thing, Darkstalkers, very sexy, great cover, Morgan. But nobody knew what it would do. But then once it hit the show, so it was like bang. It's like, holy crap, this thing is selling through the roof. And it was just blowing numbers up. So what happened then was everybody started to be like, we have to get game-based anime. And after that, one of the big titles, and I always think it's a funny story, is Tekken. What happened was there was one company, I think it was Gaga or someone, I think it was Gaga. They actually, I think, produced it, the Tekken anime. Now, I'm a big Tekken guy. I love the characters. Nina and all of them, Lee. We used to actually at Software Sculptors, what we would do is after hours, we actually used to have Tekken tournaments in the office. There were some fun ones that would go on forever. And I remember when Tekken 2 came out, it was like the greatest thing in the world for us. But we played it for hours and hours. I think, I was the more the character. I played Lee more than anyone else. Later, I played Nina. It's funny, I go to the gym and there's this one person, I swear to God, she's a bodybuilder type, but she looks just like Nina. I almost want to go up to her and you gotta cosplay as Nina. But anyway, back to the story is that we were doing we were basically Tekken, and I remember at that time the acquisition people at CPM, they came up to us and like, what do you think of the Tekken, this anime and what? They go, they want a lot of money for it. I said, there's, you don't, I said, there's not a lot of money, meaning you couldn't pay a lot of money because the thing is going to like sell through the roof. I mean,
it doesn't matter how you feel.
You're going to make a lot of money on it. I was trying to convince them, and it took a lot of convincing because the price was really high. CPM at that time was pretty much the major distributor. They were the biggest ones, they were in all the what. But the thing was, that title was expensive. And then here was the other kicker. When you watch it, and me being a Tekken fan and the other guys being Tekken fans, let's just say it doesn't hold up. It was pretty, blocky. It wasn't the best. As a guy who watched it, you saw the game animation, the openings and all that kind of stuff. But man, it just didn't really hold up. They had the characters there, and Kazuya, I haven't played in a little while. I did Kazuya and all those, and you were just like, what's going on, But in the end, we just knew that with the name Tekken, it didn't matter. And lo and behold, that's what happened. They did it, and it sold through the roof initially. Then when people, so it didn't matter, it made money. But after that, let's just say it kind of died a pretty hard death pretty quickly. But it did really well. So I think, I think in the end, game anime kind of became the thing, and people were looking more and more for that. The adaptation thing, you see the live actions and all that. Most of them were pretty bad. I know One Piece on Netflix has been, remarkably doing well, and it's supposed to be a great show, but most adaptations, most people were not crazy about, especially, I don't know about me, but gaming adaptations were just terrible. I did like, Silent Hill and some of the other ones, but that one was amazing. But otherwise, I thought most of them were pretty god-awful. So, that was basically a story of how game anime kind of got into, at least for us in the US market, and just a little side note there. Then on top of that, I just figured I'd mention, right now I'll try to, every Friday, try to do a little sale or a little something on these stories. So I don't know if you guys know this, but we did a little one called World War Blue recently. It has an English dub. Brittany's in this, Brittany Faith. She worked on it. She did a great job on it. You can check it out on the MB storefront. I'll put a link there. It is based on a game anime. I think it's Sonic the Hedgehog, but here's the thing. They're not really featuring Sonic and all that. These are all like human versions of it, I guess you would say. But when you see the story, you'll obviously see, no, this is Sonic. Or, it's a combination of a couple of Sega. So you'll check it out. I'll run a special just for the weekend at $9.99. I think when we initially released this at like $29, and then we did a sale to $20. But at $9, and it's really a really cool anime. Actually, I think the story is pretty fun, and it's just game animes are supposed to be fun. So do check it out. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And we'll try to be doing more of these kind of shows, the cast previews, and let's hope we make this a permanent thing. All right. You guys, again, have a great weekend. Take care.